Hello, hello, beautiful people of the internet. Hello, Squigs, Corvus Korak, Eldazare, Despotsini, Igladub, Brewski, Grey Warden Uku, Antiwian, Foji, Running with Van Halen, Lord Ib. Hello, hello, welcome one and all. Squigs, thank you for the Prime sub. A year sub just in time for the end of the run. That's right, that's right. So, for those who are wondering, the hell are we doing here? If you didn't see the stream from yesterday to the very end, well, it turns out that I'm gonna, all right, so let's rewind, quite literally. Generally speaking, I have a very play it as it lies mindset. These are roguelikes, you can get extremely unlikely events happen to you, and that's just how it goes, right? We've lost, brothers to multiple 95% chance attacks missing, etc., etc. And I also, as a battle's going on, if something unlikely happens, I just simply accept it. But my spidey senses were tingling yesterday. I was like, like, our brothers with like resolve that's nearly to 100, boy, them getting stunned by Horrify is pretty unlikely. And by the end of the stream, we had thank you to Wabakishko, who was like, hey, I did some testing, and an Ancient Priest horrified a Anointed Knight 33 times in a row. I think something might be up. Anyway, so it turns out, yes, as Choppy Cat plays the exclamation mark run rules command, we'll make judgment call in case of bugs. I'm gonna run it back. It turns out that it was indeed bugged, and Darkso's a legend. He's fixed it already. The most recent version of Hardened has already fixed it. Like I said, he's a legend, he's fast. I got a little one-off patch, so actually I should double check that that is in place, because it should spit something out to the log file. So actually let me, yeah, okay. Horrify / charm fix active. All right, so the bug has been fixed in this version. So what's kind of neat about this is I did run the numbers because I was curious. When we get to things like probability, it gets very hard to imagine what the actual result is until you calculate something, as soon as you start cascading effects together, right? As soon as you start multiplying numbers, the human mind, we can't intuit these things. So I was thinking like, all right, so those two Horrifies that hit 8 brothers in 2 rounds in a row, what was the chance of that actually happening if things were working correctly? And, what I was wondering is this like picking a specific atom out of the known universe? Or is this like picking a specific grain of sand off of the beach? Is this like winning the lottery? Or is this like getting a hole in one, or correctly guessing someone's 4-digit pin, or something like that, right? Because these are dramatically different in scale, all of these examples. And it turns out that this is something that's around the same as like guessing a 4-digit pin. It was 1 in 25,000 approximately, based on my back of the napkin math. I maybe made some mistakes in the calculation. I wasn't accommodating for some amount of missing hit points just because I was going off what I saw in the VODs. It wasn't perfect, but it's on that order of magnitude. So we can view this as an alternative timeline, something that is plausible, right? Plausibly likely. What if the team simply didn't band together, didn't have the power of brotherhood and friendship? That's what would have happened, and that bug just simply illustrated that for us. Yeah, flipping a 25,000 sided coin. So we're going to run it back, because what I want to see is we're going to start the exact same prediction over as last time. So we're going to say what would happen if things were working properly. Right? I think that's something I want to know anyway, right? Can this team do the fight? Because I actually think the answer is yes. Right? I think the answer is yes. I think the team is genuinely capable of winning this fight when that bug's not present. And in fact, I think it's... you know what? Let's just see what... We're going to call this the true timeline, or whatever. Journey before destination. You know, it's been fun getting here, but I do want to see how this fight goes without that bug. So, the answer is yes. I mean, it's still a hard fight, right? It's still a hard fight. I did set up the squad. We're going to give it some time for the predictions to get in place. I did last night set up the squad, I believe, identically to how I set it up yesterday. So even though I made the backup save file before moving gear around, I now kind of wish I'd made a second backup or whatever, because it was kind of a pain in the butt. I'm just glad that in the video, when I was rewatching the battle on YouTube, or like the setup, I'm glad that there were many times where I like went to the first brother and then I went tap 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 tap. So I was able to go by it frame by frame. So I was doing the dot and comma to move the YouTube video frame by frame, which is if you don't know that exists, it's very handy. And then I was able to like look at each brother and get their exact loadout. So I believe I have it set up exactly how it was. I'm going to start the fight the exact same way. I don't know that I think it's perfect, but I'm going to do it the same way, at least in the first round, and then obviously it'll change pretty much right away, right? So, you know, we're going to start the exact same way, but it will deviate after the first round. So, what would you change? That's a good question. I kind of didn't even consider exactly what it would be, but I think I would probably not do the two duos up top. I would actually send one duo at the top and then one at the bottom, actually just to disrupt the line of shield walls approaching us on the bottom, right? So I think the one up top is still necessary just to hold off the wave of honor guards, but I would set the other duo a little bit staggered on the bottom just to pull aggro from some of the shielded and polearm enemies so they can't line up in exactly how they want to. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it exactly how I set it up last time, because we're going to say like we rewinded the tape to after the end of the first round, basically. So, yeah, there was a bug with the Horrify skill. So this is the real fight then. This is an alternative timeline if the brothers weren't cowardly, right? Let's say they weren't afraid. The first one was the example of what if everyone was just afraid. This is what if we're not. So, you know, I don't, calling something real fight, fake fight, I don't, yeah, whatever, right? We can't fully rewind the tape because knowledge is different. Why not play the fight with the knowledge we have? It's not really authentic anyway. Whatever. What is authentic? I want to run it as I originally did. This is how I want to do it, right? I understand there's different ways you could view this. I want to play this how I originally intended to do the fight, without the bug present. That's my goal. That's what I want out of this. So that's what I'm going to do. So, I think this team, I genuinely think that if those Horrifies had not happened, again, you know, Fosty 254 with Formidable Approach and 12 AP, he's going to one-shot whatever he hits. And he's prevented from doing that 2 rounds in a row. The team completely falls apart. If we lose this, would you try again with the adjusted strategy? No. I just accept it. Right. I'm only replaying this because of the bug, not because, again, it's a play it as it lies. But I want to go back to how I originally planned to do it that way, and run it and see how it goes. Right? I think that even though, like, you know, what I'm not going to repeat is anything past the first round, basically, right? So any, like, you know, for example, I made a mistake of rotating Miles in the first half of a round before the undead had gone and he died. I'm not going to repeat that mistake, right? I mean, the circumstances will be different. The fight will be deviated after the first round. The Necrosavant Lord will probably do something different and not get attached to Master Maticus, right? So, you know, things will be different, but I'm going to approach the fight in the same way. That's my plan. We're probably not going to get as lucky with the Holy Water hits, or Flask of Blessed Water, if I were to guess. Because I think we got pretty lucky with the number of enemies that were hit when we ran it the first time. The fake time. The alternative timeline. So, yeah. I mean, I don't actually care about fair, not fair. This is like a... I'm not trying to get too... I just want to see if the team is possible. I want to see if this is possible with how I was going to do it originally. I think the answer is yes, genuinely. But we'll see, right? But there will be a chance to make new mistakes, of course. So I'm going to let the polls and predictions, you know, fully do their thing. So, yeah, again, it was one of those things where I'm pretty happy to accept a 1 in 25,000 bad luck. Like I said, it's within the realm of plausible. You know, my dad, he's been a lifelong golfer. He finally got a hole-in-one, just like a couple, like last summer. I think it was like a par 4 too, which is kind of insane. Yeah, but he finally got a hole-in-one, and he'd never had one his whole life. He's been golfing his whole life. It's one of those, like, this does happen to normal people, but it's incredibly unlikely. That's around the likelihood of us getting as bad luck with the Horrify Screams as could have happened, right? Hole-in-one on a par 4 is crazy? Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was like a professional course par 4. It was like a little small-town Iowa country club par 4, which are a little bit easier. That's a double eagle. That's a double eagle. That's a double eagle. It's also his only double eagle. So, but yeah, I mean, like, you know, in the fight attempt yesterday, you know, Darling Ho and Curseword, who was entrenched and surrounded by allies, were horrified. And then even on the turn where Curseword pulled out his banner, everyone still got hit with the Horrify, and it's like, okay, that's, you know, unlikely. It's funny because I knew that, you know, the way I approach strategy games generally is work with current heuristic of how I believe things work, and then simply update my heuristic based on events that actually happen, right? And I'll go back and run calculators or simulations or spreadsheets or whatever as necessary, just to get more insights. But I knew from some previous fights against Ancient Dead, I'm like, damn, it seems like that Horrify skill has changed. Like, you know, and I mentioned that yesterday before the fight. I'm like, that's what I'm most afraid of. That's why I'm putting all these resolve pieces of gear on. It's like, it seems like it's more likely to hit. Well, it sure is. So, for those who are curious how Horrify actually works, because I wasn't 100% sure, because I thought I was getting it confused with the Hex and Charm in my mind. So there's 2 separate but unrelated resolve checks from the Horrify skill. The first one is a resolve check to lower their morale state, right? From confident to steady, steady to wavering, blah, blah, blah. And that one has a penalty of -15, so whatever their resolve is, So let's say that Darling Hose is 69. There's all sorts of hidden modifiers that don't even appear on screen, like adjacent allies and stuff. Let's ignore those for the moment. It takes this number. Let's say it were 69. Again, he's not next to any enemies, not next to any allies, etc. Subtracts 15, and then it's just a D100 roll against it, right? So in that case, it would be 54, and so he'd have a 54% chance to not get the resolve state reduced. So that's how all the resolve checks work. The second check in the Horrify skill for the stun is entirely unrelated, but then has a penalty of -5. So exact same as before, but the chance of him getting stunned, again, with no other modifiers, like no adjacent allies, etc. If he had 69 resolve, he'd have a 64% chance to pass and not get stunned. So that's how that works mechanically. It's all going according to plan. You should have the agreed to pause. Well, thank you, Despotzini. So, hey, Slurgy, sadly, I missed yesterday's stream and watched it on YouTube. The fact that you ran into this issue a day after you tried to do Witch's Hut on your current run, getting really aggravated by your bad luck regarding charm checks, actually saved your run. I was going to just accept that defeat. Well, there we go. Also, you should see, Karl Marx, if you update your hardened version, Darkseid was a legend. He works fast, right? And it's a one-man operation, one person. So, was able to fix it yesterday, already pushed it out to the main branch. He's a legend. So it looks like the polls and predictions are in. Folks are here. That's my full rewind. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, Witch's Hut without 100% charms. Go in to the end, engage. Yeah, so, and I think it looks like we're gonna get this super long load time again. In the battlefields, what's nice about Hardened as well is that it doesn't re-roll battlefields, so I think it should be the same, and it is. Cool. So, let's do this. The bug was literally fixed between yesterday and today. Yeah, Darkseid works fast. So we're gonna wait here. Wait here. Shield wall and wait. Shield wall, and I think on some of these brothers I just ended turn. Doesn't actually really have a meaningful impact either way, since they're not going to attack in the first round. Just slightly changes the turn order. I don't remember exactly. Like, this brother doesn't need to wait, so I think I ended turn. Yeah, the battlefields are fixed on specific tiles. It's a very logical change and very nice. I agree. I agree. And I think for whatever reason, again, not that this matters, I think I moved Dr. Vishnevsky here. And then I like had a moment of panic, like, will I still be in radius of the loot? And I was. So, wait. And Scottaboosh, did I rotate in the first half of the round? That would... probably not. And then I was gonna move Master Maticus and then panicked because I'm like, wait, I want to stay in range of the song. Played the song, swap to the whip, adrenaline. Darling Ho was able to get a first round attack in, slice the Elder. We will move up in the second half. Shield wall. Wait on Mystic Nemo because we did attack with him. Miles, we're going to Whirling Death and then just end turn, because I think that's what we did. If it's not exact, I don't care. The general approach is the same. We'll see if the enemies move the same way. I'm kind of curious about that. So here we rotated and did our hold steady. Swap to the big boy hammer. I do remember the Conqueror making an appearance in the first round. That sounds familiar. Looks like they're doing that same stinky cloud. Okay, and Tiwian, I think we just end turn right here, right? I think so. So the Chaucer, we're going to throw here and here. I think that's the exact same spread. And here we must have thrown... here? Oh, that's different, which is fine. Long Hair Conqueror. Was it not the Long Hair Conqueror last time? So actually what I should do with Dr. Vishnevsky, which is like a misplay I'll leave in, I should move him out, actually. Well, I don't know if that's true. I probably should, but I'm not going to. We'll just run the first round more or less the same. Okay. Oh, and actually, I think I screwed up and didn't throw the bola. Actually, maybe that's better if I don't. So actually, probably my... Nah, it doesn't matter. Mistake was better. I remember thinking of moving Darling Ho here because I wanted to hit one of the ones with the Reaper Scythe. But actually here is the only one I can where I can still rotate. There it is. And that's a better hit than last time. I think last time we missed a bunch of those. Okay, Mystic Nemo, step up and attack here. That's the same. Okay. And now the timelines have deviated. So we're going to do our onslaught. And let's pull out the banner while the enemy approaches us. Did our onslaught. Because, well, it's an onslaught. And should I use riposte here? I think... I should. I don't remember if I did or not, but again, at this point, I guess I don't care anymore. Yeah, I think the Necrosavants did basically the same thing. Okay, wait. That's different. Yeah. And so they put the debuff on Miles instead of apples and fruits. Interesting. And I think on Plaguebird I want to use Whirling Death. Let's just do that now. So Helmfried, let's see. I'm definitely going to riposte. I'm deciding if I want to riposte and Indom. Because I'm deciding, actually, I think I'm thinking about riposte and then just attack. Or riposte and end turn. Have enough for both next turn for sure. Because we're going to get surrounded by the end of the round. We're going to get hit a little bit. I think just riposte and end turn. So actually I'll rotate for the formidable approach and end turn. Wait there. So I don't think I bother reactivating our Whirling Death. We'll just do an attack. Hey, pretty good. So then Antiwian, we do have Relentless. And is it worth to do the AoE attack now or best to wait? Probably best to wait. see if another enemy comes around to here. Okay. Okay, no stun. Miles, we're gonna wait. And Scatabouche, we're gonna wait. We're gonna attack in the second half of the round. Okay. And last time that attack hit, like all three brothers. That exact same one. Why are some of the bros' eyes red? They took mushrooms before the fight. It's an effect built into Hardened to indicate that they've got a damage increase. Okay, so Mystic Nemo. We want to get his decisive and what's the ability called? Unstoppable. Built up. No cap, they actually tripping? Exactly. I think we do 2 reaps here, actually. Okay, wish we would have hit the same target, but that's okay. Also, maybe a consideration could have been, I mean, it's too late now, but I wonder if it would have been better to do 2 regular attacks. Because he does, after the second round of decisive, then his abilities become cheaper. Anyway, Darling Ho, I think we're just gonna reap. We want to hit this Necro Savant Lord. We want to get his decisive rocking and rolling. Yeah, okay. Alright. Yesterday's wipe was just a bad shroom trip. This is the actual fight? Exactly. Hello, George Rockland. Okay, this is going quite differently. Alright, so we're going to rotate and attack. Right? Yeah, definitely. This can't be real. ANF's actually hitting shit, right? And here we're just going to do regular attack. And end turn. So, Master Maticus, we're going to... Ooh, do I do a riposte or do I do 2 attacks? Swap and end turn? I think I do 2 regular attacks and we can actually get a kill here. No, maybe that was wrong. So here Meta Wrecker can actually attack and get a kill. Okay. And let's see. Is there a world where I do cover ally on apples and fruits because these weapons are particularly good at fighting or hitting his low armor? I guess they only have like a 5% chance to hit him. Just hit this guy, soften his armor. So we'll rotate here. Attack. Not a kill, but a good hit. Do our AoE. Seems good. So proc to 9, proc to 9. And let's see, with the mushrooms, this is maybe even going to kill the Centurion, right? Yeah. Are you happy with the spear build? It ended up okay. It ended up okay. So here we're going to go with the infamous Skull Warper. Okay. And do I put a dog down? The Necro Savants won't go to it, and it will get these guys crowded. This guy will go here. I think so. This was a much, much better round 2. Okay, so we could swap to the whip to do hold steady, or we could just do hold steady now. 32 versus 40 fatigue. I think we do hold steady and leave the banner out. And do I end turn? Yeah, I think so. I'm not going to use adrenaline. Okay, Necrosavant Lord still loves that hex. Interesting. Alright, can 2 regular attacks kill this Legionary with this weapon? Very close. Nice one. Nice one, Helmfried. So let's do an Indom and a Riposte here. And let's wait here. And this guy does not have Rebuke. So do I just attack with Plague Bird? I think so. Get him a little soft. Soften the boy up. So, Mystic Nemo. We may end up needing to rotate him out of where he is right now. And so Antiwian may end up needing to do that. So I'm a little tempted to do the AoE just to bust this Necrosavant before he can do anything. But it may end up being necessary to rotate and then just smash in this area. We're gonna lose our unstoppable stack though. Could do it now too. It would mean that Mystic Nemo gets attacked by this Necrosavant though, which I don't really like. But it's better than him getting attacked by Legionary and Pelaginus a few times. And we get a better attack. I think I'm gonna do it. Okay. So here we're gonna reactivate Whirling Stance. And do I Thresh here? I don't think so. Not yet, but we're gonna do a regular attack. Could go for Riposte, but I'm kind of tempted by the regular attack here on Master Maticus. Because then Dr. Vishnevsky could finish him off. Oh, that's so sad. Well, he'll at least proc 9. No, we already proc 9 on this Necrosavant Lord? This is the run. I didn't realize we'd proc. Does he not have 9 lives? I didn't think we had. I guess he was at 14 hit points, so must have. I didn't clock that we did. Okay, that's so good. He does. You proc it with a hammer swing. Well, all right. And would there be any world where I would want to have Darling Ho rotate forward to hit these backliners? I think no. I think we attack these guys. So I think I'm just going to end turn on apples and fruits. Okay. So I don't want to kill this guy in the first half because I want to maintain our... Oh, we did not get Rush of Battle on Mystic Nemo. Okay. Oh, that's right. We didn't need it. But still, 2 regular attacks is going to be the way. So let's get the kill. And... Okay. Ooh, okay. That guy's a problem. So let's wait on Miles. There may be units that filter into here. I mean, I'm tempted to rotate and then take a step up here and attack, but Plaguebird can't get to him till next turn, and we would ruin our phalanx. Which I guess, yeah, we'll just wait. And so I'm gonna wait on Scottaboosh, or am I? Let's see. Hammer might not quite kill. Nobody horrified, rigged, it's 0% now, has to be. These bros have insane at resolve. So the chance of this hitting for Helmfried, when they do it here, is... Well, it's not actually a 5% roll, because what's not showing up on the resolve is the hidden penalty from being adjacent to enemies. So it's a -3 per enemy and a +1 per or +3 per ally. So like these two would cancel out. So it's actually, you know, -12 from 102, so 90, and then -5 from the skill itself, so 85. So you'd have an 85% chance to be not be horrified and get stunned. Maybe tiny bit, so maybe closer to 84 or so because he's missing a few hit points. And I think those are all the things that are affecting him. Anyway, in case you were curious what the actual percentage would be. I guess the other line here is that I could swap weapons to the spiked bolas and then attack like this Necro Savant and just kill it. Actually, didn't I have this exact same decision point last time? Similar. I mean, right, the battlefield's different, but I think I want to finish off the Necro Savant. In this case, anyway. I think that matters more with the battlefield as it is. Okay, then let's proc 9 on this one. Oh, didn't quite do it. You watched it a couple hours ago? Okay. But then let's pull out the reach weapon at the end. Ooh, okay. Mystic Nemo. Oh boy, he's gonna have to rotate, but he should be able to. All right, we're gonna wait on Fosti 254. We're gonna let some of them filter in before he attacks. Meta Wrecker, we're gonna wait. No, we're not, because we can't wait anymore. Alright, so none of them get attacks, so that Meta Wrecker stays next to apples and fruits for shield wall, I'm actually gonna do this little maneuver here. And then Fossey 2/5/4 is just going to attack and then rotate. And I'm going to wait on... I'm just going to end turn on Plague Bird. Is that true? I don't know. I think it's going well enough. I think Miles can actually step forward and attack. We're going to lose our shield wall. How bad is that? I think it's acceptable. Well, maybe I'd rather keep Flail Spinner active. And keep the shield wall. I'm going to do that. We can no longer shatter. I think that happened last time too. Very similar situation. So do I want to attack with the regular hammer, or alternatively pull out the pole hammer and just finish off this guy? I think that's better. Okay. Okay, should be able to tuck Mystic Nemo in safely, so I'm not worried about him. See if the Chaucer can get the kill here. Can. Then what? Step up here and just do a stab against the Necro Savant? Definitely. Alright, proc 9. Oh boy. There's going to be a little more deja vu happening here. Helmfried. Protect yourself. I guess in this case I'm going to Indom. But we're going to... Some stuff's going to happen here. It's threshing time. So who do I have Dr. Vishnevsky attack? Probably this one. Actually, maybe whoever I have the higher hit chance against, right? So I'll just do this guy. Yeah. Set him up for a threshing. All right, so Meta Wrecker, I'm not going to do anything with yet because we need Fossey 2/5/4 who goes after them to rotate in and attack. So we're just going to wait. Bring Master Maticus back up. End turn. So now we can set up a little bit of a bro slingshot action. And let's keep Whirling Stance active. End turn. Antiwian. Let's just finish off the Necro Savant, even though it's way overkill. Okay. Is it possible to get the Emperor's Headband? That's a great question. Okay. So 9 plus 24... is 33, which is, yeah, he's got more than enough. Okay, I think these are like the exact same numbers too. I think I do it. I think the thresh happens again. And I think I hit Helmfried again. Oh, okay. I do want to see. Okay, so uses Whirling Death. Okay, uses Thresh, hits the Necro Savant, killed the Necro Savant. Became confident, as you should. Hit the Praetorian. Hit the Praetorian. Hit the Praetorian. The Ancient Honor Guard. The Praetorian. And did I hit Helmfried? Oh yeah, I did hit Helmfried. Hit him in the head. But only for 7. He's got Steel Brow. And hit Helmfried twice. Totally worth. Helmfried's finally been freed of his helm. Wow. Okay, good lightning. So we need to leave Scottaboosh here because we're going to have Mystic Nemo rotate against him. So I probably do the attacks with this weapon first. I think I want to do Bearded Blade to disarm them. Really angrily. Okay, so we have to rotate decisively. Now, a Necrosavant may jump on Mystic Nemo. There's only one remaining, but certainly it might do that. Okay, Dalian Ho. I think we just do 2 Reaps here. And I think I am going to have him end the turn of the Miasma. I want to keep the Shield Wall together. I don't want to pull Plague Bird out of it. This could very well be Deathless. There's still a lot of skeletons left. Honestly, I kind of think Slice the Elder is unlikely to make it. But we'll see. Good morning. Hey, Slice the Elder, good morning. And let's wait on Curse Word. I retire effective immediately. Soon. And let's wait on Miles, actually, because we may get a better reap than this. Or better pound if this guy goes here. Same deal with Fosti 254. We're going to wait for some of them to maybe fill in. Okay. Okay, may as well do it that way because the single target's better. And let's keep the shield wall together, so I'm gonna rotate now. I actually might do repel. Either way I push him, I cancel his shield wall. I don't know, I guess Miles is gonna attack him and I don't want to take that away. There's no point in playing music anymore. I mean, I guess there's not no point in playing music. No, let's play some music. Okay, so we definitely rotate here. I kind of thought the flail spinner would kill. Put him at 1. Yeah. Yeah, I think Slice the Elder is probably going to retire. So close. So let's have Dr. Wisniewski attack this one and kill it. Could have Meta Wrecker push, take a step up here. That helps relieve the pressure from Slice the Elder. Because we can attack the Necro Savant. We could also rotate Fosti 254 a little closer. I actually think that's really good. So let's do a push. Rotate. Go here. Attack. End turn. So Helmfried, I might just riposte end turn. And just stay right here. I think so. Antiwian. Give this guy a slam. That's the spirit. Now, let's see if Plaguebird can finish off these guys. Actually, do I do that? Yeah. Ah. Okay, proc to 9 lives there. Still gonna get hit a bunch though. So. That was good. That was good. Okay. That was actually still a pretty unlikely Horrify, right? So the skill still works. And that Horrify sucks. Because again, Fosty254 still had his turn with full AP. Bugged again? No. Because it actually missed a couple units in there too. And we saw it miss earlier. Okay, also this guy's shield push like kind of helps Helmfried. Like it made these guys crowded, which made them miss Slice the Elder. And so let's see. We don't have enough fatigue to swing with both of these. Yeah, so I think we just want to pull out the infamous Skull Warper and maybe warp a skull. Seems good. And Scottaboosh, do I want to have him run up or to the right? We probably will end up having him run to the right to stay with the Chaucer. So I'm actually just going to save fatigue by ending turn here. You see another round swing opportunity? I'm seeing it too, though we don't have enough fatigue. So I'm kind of tempted to rotate with Darling Ho just to hit this Necro Savant. Again, it's just to relieve the pressure from Slice the Elder. We'll get hit twice by this Khopesh, which isn't great. This is a lot closer to how I thought the fight would go. Yeah, same. I wonder if it would ever be worth to swap to this because the attacks are cheaper now. Like, I wonder if that's the play. Make this go from 8 to 15 to 7 and 15. I think 2 regular attacks is going to be pretty relevant. This time the RNG was a bit on the lucky side. I think that's true. I think that's true. Though last time it was RNG on the unlucky side plus the bug. So it's a little bit apples and oranges. Okay, do we just move forward into Stinky Cloud? You know, honestly, preventing the Horrify from proccing is still pretty important. So last time the fear stuns didn't come till round 4 or 5, but we were still stuck on the front line. This time the front line was already gone by turn 4, so the bug wasn't impacting that at all. Just landing the attacks. Actually, it still did affect it because they had horrified the tanks prior to that, but not meaningfully. I agree with that, Rufin. We definitely, like, don't get me wrong, just hitting those attacks that we missed last time, which was irrelevant to the bugged part of the fight, was definitely going from unfavorable to favorable, for sure. Yeah, just thinking of the bottom right situation. Exactly. Right, this got cleared up much nicer. And they were independent, right? I didn't adjust the formation or change that. This is pretty much just independent part of the battle. So so I think I'm gonna move up here and weapon swap Adrenaline end turn. Actually, do they still have AP? Not enough to do their abilities, right? Yeah. So I think I am gonna go here. I'm gonna pull out the... Actually, do I release a dog? No. We're just gonna do that so that we can play the loot and pull back out the banner. Keep the resolve as high as possible. This gives you some hope that your run is winnable at least? Yeah. This is a much different outlook. This is substantially different. Alright, so it should be huge resolve on everyone. The Chaucer will just run here and end turn. Yeah, to get a statistically significant sample, we need to do this fight 20 more times? I mean, that's a true statement. So let's see. Very tempted to hit the Conqueror. 350 hit points. But I think we just hit this Legionary. We missed the Legionary. Here we'll just riposte end turn. Tiwian will run to here, I guess. And Plaguebird, I'm gonna wait. Apples and fruits, I could rotate, take a step up here and attack. I think that's probably good. Soften his hit points a little bit for Fossey 254. Or not. Back at it again, the run. Exactly. So we can't Whirling Death and still pound. I am gonna just pound though. We're gonna stay here. We're in Stinky Cloud, but yeah. Yeah. Horrify is still horrifying. Fossey 254 is still in great shape, so let's... Yeah, so my estimation of needing just a tiny bit more damage was right. Damn. Ooh, I think Slice the Elder may fall. And Scottaboosh, let's run along to the side, even though we're going to be breaking away from our duo. I think that's okay. Could throw a fire pot, which would finish this guy. It's kind of interesting. Do I have enough fatigue to do it? 20. Nope. Let's just pull out the pole flail. And I'm gonna stay in Stinky Cloud. His hit points are good. Darlene Ho, I guess, could recover decisively. Or, you know, if we want to do this deathless, we step up here and we attack this guy. I was only watching to see the duo romances and you split them up in the final fight. Ooh. That's true. But not all of them. Okay. So I'm a little tempted with Dr. Wisniewski to actually step here and attack this Ancient Decanus. Try to kill him so that we can let Slice the Elder free. I want to try. Try to do it deathless. Because I think we won. So now I'm just going to attempt deathless. Boy, actually, I don't know. Dr. Wisniewski, I guess, kind of can't step in Stinky Cloud, can he? Then he might die. I guess. Maybe he's not the one to do that. You know what? Oh, that is so disappointing. I did destroy armor because I'm like, boy, he's still got all this armor. But hit him in the head. So we could go here and do cover ally with Meta Wrecker. Let's do that. Does struck down count as death? In the context of the end prediction. But even though he's a survivor, he still could die. So even on Hardened, this bro got his helmet stolen by goblins, deserved to die. True. Does deserve to die. So we need Slice the Elder to end his turn here. So he can be out of Stinky Cloud. Oh, I guess the Shield Other is pointless then, huh? Well, that was dumb. Yeah, that was pointless. He can't end his turn there. He needs to get out of the Stinky Cloud. Shield Other doesn't work when you're not next to your other. Though I suppose apples and fruits can do it. Yeah, so let's just rotate him now. He doesn't have combo or anything, so. We can reactivate Whirling Death. Is that better than actually hitting and killing? Probably better to kill Other. Shield Other works when he will try to run out of zone of control, perhaps. How, like... No, I think you lose it. I think you lose it. So the question here is, do I do Whirling Death or do I do an attack? Because we're going to get a kill. I think we do an attack. And that's the safe play. Ooh. Okay, so he's back in Stinky Cloud. So instead of Shield Other, if we just kill this guy, he doesn't get an attack. Almost killed 2. This will kill even if we're on the safe hex. Though actually we're going to leave the safe hex. Slice the Elder's fine. Yeah, no, he's good. He's already safe. Now I'm more concerned about Master Maticus here. So let's run Antiwian up to here. Nice. With Miles, maybe we run up this way too. We're gonna be able to get some reach attacks here soon. Same deal for Scatabouche. And let's just do 2 attacks here. Cool. Alternate timeline, how did the team die? Yeah, the first fight, there was a bug with the Horrify skill making it hit 100%. Though it's not actually like 100%. So one of the things that I thought was curious was, maybe he wasn't in the AoE, but there were Horrifies that it looked like should have been hit at Dr. Vishnevsky. And maybe he wasn't in the AoE, like it was targeted here. Because it's kind of hard to tell from the visual effect. But he didn't get hit. So I don't know. So that was, but it, anyway, regardless, it was definitely bugged. And Darkso has since fixed it. So I think the play here is actually release a dog. Or is it? Searching cave to pressure the multiverse. Yeah, that's it. So we need to make sure that Master Maticus gets, saving your dog for the next round? No, it's just that he gets in the way. He might occupy a hex we just want to attack from. No, I actually think the play is play a little music. Make sure that no one gets hit by the Horrify. And let's run the Chalicer to here. Get Antiwi into here. Move Metawrecker here and either shield other or push. Dr. Vishnevsky still have his anticipation stacks? Oh my god, he does. Huh. This guy lost his fast adaptation. No, I think we do shield others still on Master Maticus. I think that's still the play. We're gonna put him back in harm's way. So Helmfried is in great shape. Okay. Bandage self? Yeah. No. I guess the riposte is more important. And Slice the Elder. Totally fine. Totally fine. And Tyrion wins twice in a row. Did he bet 0? You love to see it. It's looking like it'll be 0. Faith in the run is rewarded. Faith in the true timeline is indeed rewarded. Let's go and bandage that fella up. Got a little more final rotation, which is good because we didn't quite proc 9 lives, but boy, that was close. And Fossa 254, let's get closer. Darlingho has taken the Conqueror down. All that remains is an ancient priest. And I say, we let our 2 battle brothers take out this final ancient priest, and it is done. So, in an alternative timeline, in a timeline where the team is not afraid, in a timeline where the fight is not bugged, in a timeline where the team bands together, deathless was the outcome. Darlingho did 3,000 damage. Had to wait for you to get back from vacation? Exactly. Exactly. Well, what a striking contrast. The prediction result is 0. Incredible. Yeah, Slice the Elder at 2.9. Also pretty incredible. Mostly, you know, about 2,000 of that was from one turn. And a little bit of it is friendly fire. But you know, who's counting? Another successful run now, Anonymous. I don't know. Dear most generous streamer, warm greetings to you from a humble viewer of great loyalty and impeccable taste in Twitch entertainment. Due to circumstances of great misfortune and terrible shortage of channel points, I find myself unable to redeem the sacred reward. This situation has caused me considerable distress. Fulio, most generous viewer, warm greetings to you. With impeccable taste in Twitch viewership, and I, unfortunately, will have to just do a battle brawl so you have a chance to get some more at some point. That's crazy. I would never have expected that, but I don't think it can be attributed entirely to the bug. Yeah, right. So if we were to run this back and, you know, do this fight a whole bunch of times in a row, which I'm not going to do, right? I will replay a bug. I'm not just going to replay just to, replay. Deathless is not the median outcome, I don't think. But I do think that Deathless is way more likely than Team Wipe when things are working correctly. But that's just my vibes, Channel points won't spend themselves. Incredible. Incredible. Probably the mode outcome. Ooh, look at us using our statistical terms. No, actually I suspect that the mode outcome is probably still 1 to 2. So, this looks like a consistent win with no bug at least. I think so. Yeah, I think Deathless is unlikely. I think the mode result is with 1 to 2 deaths. That's my hunch. Could even be convinced that it's slightly higher. We'll go ahead and grab the Emperor's. What's it actually called? The Emperor's armor. The early rounds are extremely impactful. On most runs, we will not have the early rounds that this had this time, and that changes the dynamic of the entire fight. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we can all agree it would follow a Poisson distribution curve. Indeed. Well, what a journey. What a journey. Entered this challenge thinking, is this possible? It was just a curiosity, just a test, just something I wanted to know. If this same challenge could be taken to the Hardened submod for Reforged, and it turns out the answer is yes. Now, here's the real question. I'm not going to, because I like to play the run exactly as described, but there's only a couple legendary locations left. Could this have still done them all deathless? Obviously, we have brothers get struck down, so several actually, but we'll never know. That we don't know because the team has purged the land of evil only from the Great Black Monolith. So, no deaths, no struck down, all legendary. That's for the new run. Nah, I think no struck down is a lot harder without the 9 lives perk being available on everyone. It would be a shame not to try that. Then it shall remain a shame. The team is done. They're retired. So, let's take a look at our squad. Look at their final stats with this fancy mod. And take a moment to talk about the builds, how it went, etc., etc. You never go full retired. We'll become a Walmart greeter, maybe. So, all right. Going through the team, one by one, across the order they are in the formation here. Helmfried, part of a dynamic duo. This bro was... You know what's fun about this run, actually? Is that it's a culmination of all of the lessons learned from the previous attempts, right? So this is attempt 4. In attempt 1, I was pretty obsessed with trying to find a specific perk combination for this type of shenanigan, specifically. And it's really strong, right? The rework of Nimble, such that you don't actually lose your Nimble percentage by equipping heavier armor. It's just that the heavier armor itself is more fragile. I think it's actually a really good change. Like I like this rework. I like a lot of the things about the way the perks work in this this submod for Reforged a lot. But this does enable like the Slurgy special to an extreme, right? So we're able to do this Armor of the Ejirok. And of course the idea here is that we protect the exposed body part to the extreme with Steelbrow, Colossus, Nimble, Indom. Fortified Mind here, in this case, works such that you gain resolve equal to the weight of your helmet. Or lose, excuse me, you gain 25 and then lose equal to the weight of your helmet, so you want to have an unobstructed mind. A simple head wrap, or an occult eye mask. Which, speaking of, you know, speaking of bugs, there was technically a unintended -1 weight to the occult eye mask that did make our nimble percentage protecting the armor very slightly better for most of the run. So there was a bug that helped the player that I left in place that was there the whole time that helped us a teeny tiny bit, but across every single fight. Well, not every single fight. Every single fight as soon as we equipped this helmet. So, you know, just saying. Yeah. So we gotta restart that, right? And just saying there, you know, it's when you're playing heavily modded, there's gonna be bugs, right? Ruined, yeah. So, you know, instead of taking 32% more armor damage, we took 31% more armor damage. And hey, there was a period where our Armor of the Ejirok was sitting at 0 before we got the Tool Nerd, right? So, I mean, it did actually play a tiny role. Like, actually. Anyway, yeah, this brother, you know, what would I do differently? Like, would I change anything about this build? Technically, every single fight where you actually got hit on your armor. Right, exactly. Fated to fail is correct. Wherever Helmfried, specifically wearing this helmet, got hit in his armor, he took less damage. Oh, I guess rounding errors. It would have to be over a threshold where it would actually go up by 1 instead of getting floored to the same value. So we'd have to get hit by like a specifically correct amount. Anyway. But would I change anything about this build? No, except maybe, you know, maybe I would take Dynamic Duo on Helmfried instead of Dodge here. And then on Slice the Elder, I could have freed up a perk to do something. I don't know. There's options here, right? On Slice the Elder, we could have grabbed maybe even Unstoppable. Probably should have grabbed Wears It Well for all the time we were using the Berserk Chain. Anyway. But yeah, Helmfried. Number 9 in damage dealt. Number 11 in average damage per battle. Honestly, that's pretty high given his whole purpose was to just absorb damage, right? Number 6 in damage received. Now, I'm not surprised to see his damage received number pretty low because he was built very defensively. Very defensively. Right? Parry doing some incredibly heavy lifting. Number 11, heaviest hit. Number 15 in hit chance. Okay, that sounds right. I wonder... Oh, yeah, so he's the lowest. He's the least likely to hit the enemy. That checks out. That checks out. Number 13 in headshot chance. Ah, he got pretty unlucky with headshots. 21%. I wonder who will be lower. Number 2 dodge chance. I suppose number 1 is going to be Master Maticus, but we'll see. We'll see when that comes. He's the number 1 in lucky 5% hits with 1. And number 15 with unlucky 95% misses. Yeah, that all checks out because he has lower melee skill. That sounds about right. Well played, Helmfried. Surprising that he has the lowest hit chance. I mean, he's only got 57 melee skill. And he's like getting surrounded. So I'm not surprised. He was able to use Riposte a lot, which I think let him do a lot of attacks. So he did a lot of attacks. So that's really bad, right? Only one 5%er. No, that's not bad. How many 5% chance attacks do you think we took over the course of the entire run? The answer, almost none. This was probably a riposte counterattack to like a Swordmaster, right? You're going to see these two numbers have a huge disparity, and that has nothing to do with RNG being rigged. It has to do with the fact that we don't take 5% hit chance attacks. But we take a lot of 95% hit chance attacks. The player has better stats than the enemy. So, yeah, so this one is, the 5% hits are offense and the 95% misses are also offense. Right. Yeah, we'd rather save the fatigue than swing for a 5%. We just, exactly. Anyway, well played, Helmfried. Slice the Elder. Man. This bro absolutely smashed. Absolutely smashed. Now, unfortunately, did get a maimed foot. Curse you, goblins. From, and just got hit by a bunch of goblin pikes. We just moved forward in a night attack against goblins, which I think probably was just a mistake. I suppose there was a shaman. The team's just not good against goblins. So, anyway, we were able to build this as a flail bro. And damn, these flails are great. Two-handed flail in Hardened. Superb. Supreme. Fantastic. It was also really nice to have a brother with anticipation pairing in this dynamic duo, because there were situations where we'd be like, yeah, all right, let's just take one hit here for almost no damage. 56 range defense, let's go. And actually even higher when the battle is underway, because he's going to start confident, which is going to increase that stat, and dodge is going to increase the base. So Slice the Elder with number 3 damage dealt, number 9 damage received, which makes sense. You'd think his would be pretty low. Number 5 heaviest hit. Huh. I would have thought maybe that would be higher. Number 1 hit chance. Wow. Okay, he has 101 melee skill. Why am I surprised by this? He was also able to use Whirling Death before attacking to increase it. Okay, this sounds right. Maybe now that I think about it a little more. And he starts confident? Okay, all right. Number 2 in headshot chance, so 48%. What would we expect it to be? So 40 plus Headhunter. Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess that checks out to being about right. Number 9 in dodge chance. Yeah, he's got pretty good defense. And didn't take any 5% chance attacks at all. But still missed 49 95% chance misses. That's true. Using a flail bypassing the shields. That's a good point. Apples and fruits. Yeah. Right, so even some of the other brothers with really high hit chance and formidable approach, if they're attacking into a shield, they're gonna miss. Sometimes, right? More often than Slice the Elder. Beautiful. And did not get struck down in the final battle. You love to see it. Meta Wrecker. Part of a dynamic duo, paired up with Fosty254. Went with a little frontline phalanx of 3 brothers. And would I change anything about how I did this build? You know, I don't know. I actually think if I could go back, I probably would just not do the spear, but there were times where spear wall was pretty handy. There were fights where it was actually useful. I guess the only alternative then would be sword. Sword plus on guard. Yeah, it might have been better actually. But the spear wall was pretty handy. And the free spear attacks, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't make a huge difference if we didn't do it this way. Still ended up pretty good. The spear does have really good reach too, so that's something to consider. Right, so the spear has a reach of 5, which is the most for any like melee weapon. So in our phalanx, we were able to get it up to 6. Still took shield expert. Could maybe debatably not take this, but I think I'm pretty happy to have it because we can't have these bros lose their shield. That's a potential fail point. We happened to find famed shields with durability, and if that had not happened, Shield Expert would have been more relevant to prevent the shields from getting destroyed. But we were just a shield collecting squad. So. So Meta Wrecker is 13 damage dealt, which we expect that to be pretty low. I think that sounds about right. Number 15 in damage received. Yeah, so hard to hit. Number 13, heaviest hit. Number 8 in hit chance. So pretty run-of-the-mill. Number 1 in dodge chance. Yeah, I suppose with the reach, the pretty good melee defense, the best shield. I mean, I'm not too surprised by that. Didn't take any 5% chance attacks, probably. And 37, 95% chance attack misses. Spear Wall Bro is the lowest damage received. Yeah, and that's true. We were able to Spear Wall in situations where maybe an enemy would attack and we wouldn't want him to. Well played, Meta Wrecker. Up next, Apples and Fruits. Also part of a dynamic duo. Started out as a Padawan, then became... Oh, hold on. Jedi Master. Started out as a Padawan, entered the path of the Jedi, and only after defeating the Black Monolith successfully can Apples and Fruits be considered a Jedi Master. Now, Apples and Fruits, level 23 with 85 melee skill, started pretty low. But you know, when you're just a simple dayteller, in a previous life, if you're not a combat veteran, you're not going to have that combat experience. But we got there eventually. Would I change anything about this build? No. Maybe Exploit Opening still should have been taken with his low melee skill for the longest time. I'm not sure exactly what I'd cut for it. I guess maybe Battle Flow. Ended up pretty relevant in this final fight for sure. I don't know. Anyway, number 11 in damage dealt. Not too surprised again. He spent a lot of his time without his lightning sword. Actually, I don't know if that probably adds to it. Number 1 in damage received. You know, I'm not surprised by this. 2 reasons I'm not surprised. 1, enemy ranged units loved attacking him. He was like their prime target. And it's because he was a nimble brother who was standing in the front, exposed, whatever. It makes sense, but I think he took like chip damage pretty reliably in any fight with ranged enemies when the rest of the team would be completely unscathed. So that sounds right. That sounds right. I think in any fight where that wasn't the case, his damage received would look lower. But the enemy highly prioritized him. Saw that he was a threat, you know? Let's see, anything else noteworthy here? Only an 18% headshot chance. That's pretty low, actually. So we got pretty unlucky with headshots. I'm surprised that this didn't normalize to closer to 25% by the end of the campaign. This deviating as far as it did from 25% is a little surprising. I wonder, are there enemies that like... enemies or mechanics that would lower your headshot chance? I guess not. Punctures are 100% body? I suppose he did do a lot of punctures. That's true. There were a lot of times where Apples and Fruits was part of the dagger squad. That's probably what does it. Does lightning hit the head? You know, that's a great question too. That might count as a body shot. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Well played, Apples and Fruits. Up next, Plague Bird with good feet. Part of a dynamic duo, this time paired up with Miles per hour. And this bro ended up a frontline flail bro Would I change anything about the build here? You know, one interesting potential route this bro could have gone would have been, you know what I'm surprised we didn't get? Well, maybe not. Anyway, what I was thinking is, you know, a potential option for this bro could have been Cleaver, Rebuke, Exude Confidence. Right? It would be less defensive. But I think the Cleaver as a finishing weapon is, you know, is pretty good. And I think the Orc Cleavers are actually fine with Exude Confidence. Or excuse me, with, oh, not Exude Confidence. I was thinking Wears It Well the whole time. Wears It Well, Wears It Well. It'd be an interesting option. But it's not what I did, right? Went with the Flail. I think the Whirling Death was actually pretty handy. Though, you know, I don't know, maybe it didn't make as big a difference on this brother, since it wasn't as useful offensively. And I think, given that he was part of the duo, maybe he was already fine. One with the Flail, one with the Flail. Yeah, I don't know. Bro ended up really good. And also, this is the bro who received the water skin. So we were struck down, got ourselves a maimed foot, the classic, but we were able to use the water skin to repair it in the same stream, right? We were at the far end of civilization where we got injured. We were at the far end of civilization where we found the tree. I think I didn't like that he had to take so many turns off to reapply Whirling Death. Exactly, right? Exactly. I agree, apples and fruits. That was the main problem with it, right? So yes, it adds damage. Yes, it gives him reach for offensive and defensive reasons. Yes, it adds melee defense. But it's still expensive from a fatigue perspective to apply. And like a single attack with a cleaver might genuinely have been better, especially if we were going to take Shield Expert anyway. So then we care less about the reach. He had to click the green skip turn button. Right. Right. So, number 8 in damage dealt. Higher than I would have expected, though. That's pretty good. And what other noteworthy stat here? Number 6 in hit chance. Yeah, he's got a flail that bypasses enemy shields. Number 3 in headshot chance. Okay, that sounds right. He's just going to be behind the other flails. And then number 1, lucky 5% hits. So he tied Helmfried. Apparently we did take a 5% attack. Don't remember when that happened. Maybe it was early on. Or it could have been a puncture or something. And then number 2, with unlucky 95% chance, misses. I wonder, I think the 3-headed flail contributes to that, number 2. Right? If you take 3, if you get 3 swings, 3 procs for this stat. Well played, Plaguebird. And look at how cleanly Plaguebird ended this final fight. Practically untouched. There needs to be a drip ranking. There does need to be a drip ranking. Your top 3 for sure. It's a nice setup. Honestly, everyone with the cloaks is pretty nice. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely high up. Definitely high up in the drip rating. I like the Saleh helmets. They look really nice. Up next, the Chaucer. Part of a dynamic duo with Scatabouche. The Chaucer was our first event bro that we picked up. And actually, hold up. Yeah, these were all starting bros. Okay, I was like... Yep. So the Chaucer was our first event bro with the company for 235 days. So we got him fairly early on. We got him pre-cartographer. This is a Philly Fiddler that we saw along the side of the road. And the one big mistake I made in this build, which is I misunderstood, played as a lies. I took Rebuke. For some reason, I had in my mind that there had been a patch or change from some previous attempts when I first started playing Hardened, where On Guard, or when you use Riposte and Rebuke, they would work together and you get 2 attacks. That's not true. Like, and you can see that a clarification was added. A character will only trigger 1 counterattack per attack. Therefore, this perk does not stack with other effects that trigger counterattacks. Oops. Oops. We need a stat on how many brothers we didn't get due to him being superstitious. We did proc the superstitious events an awful lot when we were hanging around other towns, just trying to farm more event bros. Sure did. We'll never know. We'll never know. Rebuke also actually lowers your attack damage. Yes. Yep. It'll lower it by 25% once it activates. We went for parry and rebuke. Parry and rebuke is fine. Parry on guard rebuke is not. It's on guard rebuke that's the problem. I didn't mean to. Well, or I did. I did mean to. I just thought you'd get a second counterattack. I swear somewhere in the ether I saw something where they were going to work together. Anyway, but this bro with Back to Basics got an extra perk, which was pretty sweet. And so other than that, I would get rid of Rebuke and I would replace it with I don't know, actually. Overwhelm? No. Dodge? He doesn't have that many free hexes around him, and never really did. There was a big portion of the campaign where he had 3 open hexes around him. Dodge would be okay. Probably not dodge. Honestly, probably just exploit opening. Probably should have been just exploit opening. I think exploit opening. Honorable mention for anticipation, even though we took parry, because it could give, reducing the damage of the first couple attacks is still pretty relevant, even if it only reduces them by 15-ish%. Taking these 2 perks together, if this dude can do it, the challenge must not be that difficult. We could all do it. 1 wasted perk is fine. Yeah, I think probably the play would have been exploit opening, but it's not that big a deal. Anyway, was number 7 damage dealt? Actually pretty decent. Number 7 damage received. Got attacked an awful lot. What else? Yeah, number 11 hit chance, hence me saying exploit opening probably. Number 3 dodge chance, that doesn't surprise me. Parry is very powerful. And never took any 5% hits, but did miss 20 95% chance attacks. Well played, the Chaucer, our Fiddly Fiddler. Up next, Mystic Nemo, with the company for only 118 days. This was a bro that we were in a situation where we could have actually procced a few different event bros during that farming attempt. In that attempt of getting events in that weird seed, southeast, non-hostile city. This brother, we were, let's see, we had Melon Mugger. I think it was just Melon Mugger, Lindworm Slayer, and then Deserter in the Forest, because there was a forest nearby. There were the ones in the pool as we were circling around. I think by the time we actually procced Mystic Nemo, we had just fallen below the 6,000 crown threshold. I think Lindworm Slayer was out of the pool when he procced, but we were still trying to proc a brother there before we left. Anyway, went with a pretty fun build. If we'd gotten the Lindworm Slayer, we might not have gotten this challenge run completed. No, I don't think so, because if we had gotten the Lindworm Slayer, we just wouldn't have spent... Think about it this way. when we had all that money and then we went bankrupt practically, we didn't get a brother out of it. I just sat and tried to farm bros that whole time and didn't get one. If we'd had the Lindworm Slayer, we would have known, you know, we wouldn't have had the crowns to be able to do that and would have been out farming in the wilderness. Of course, this is a big what if. This is like my dad's advice, son, don't play after poker, which is good advice. I don't know if after poker translates nicely to real human English language words, but it's like, you know, now that you've seen everyone's cards, what should you have done? Nah, play the probabilities. Anyway, that said, the team did get very lucky with Event Bros early on, which is better. So from that perspective, the campaign was very blessed from early on, which is more relevant. And obviously why this one bubbled up to the top as the successful one. Dad Slurgy has an epic voice. Scott boy, stop playing with yourself. There's a lot of things locked into the old brain. Anyway, so Mystic Nemo, we decided to go with he was originally actually going to be a weapon master. And we found, was it this weapon? Yes, this weapon right before we were going to take Weapon Master. Wow. I was ready to make him pretty flexible, right? Zweihander, two-handed sword, polearm, axe. We were going to grab Rush of Battle, all these things. And we found this weapon right before we were going to take Weapon Master. Pivoted, took Finesse and Death Dealer instead of Weapon Master and Rush of Battle, and ended up doing pretty well. So we took like 2 streams to even partially decide on Weapon Master. Yeah. Yes, that's true. That did actually take 2 streams, because when we first found him, it was late at night and my brain wasn't ready for it yet. And would I change anything about this build now that it's established? Nah. It still would have been interesting to have a Weapon Master, though. I do think that the two-handed swords are actually pretty good. We didn't end up with a brother like that, which is a little bit of a shame. With the company for 118 days. Number 12 in damage dealt? Okay. I guess that's sort of unfair. I should do damage per battle when thinking about Mystic Nemo because he came later. About middle of the pack. Sounds about right. Number 1 average damage per battle received. Oh, so this stat is sorting in a different order than I... Wait, what? Percentage. Average damage per battle. So this is like he received the least. Yeah, low is good. Okay, that's confusing. I see. Yeah, I mean, we just didn't expose him to letting the enemy attack him at all. So I guess that makes sense. And what else? His headshot chance is exactly 25%. I suppose at that part by the point in the campaign where we had Mystic Nemo, we were not daggering down enemies that often. So, check out another guy. You know, actually, this is average damage per battle. Man, so many of our battles are just like beating up on peasants. So actually, it is the most. It is literally the most. But by the time we got him, we were less often fighting just like caravans where we didn't get hit at all, relatively speaking, right? So we were fighting like big fights. These numbers are so small too. Which makes sense, right? You just kill the enemy. Don't get hit. 5 head. 2 HP per battle is the most. 2 HP and 15 body armor. On average, honestly, that does check out, right? Because most battles, most brothers take 0 damage. even in the big, like, Orc Sea of Tens fights, right? So I'm not too surprised by this, right? He did get blown up a few times. There were a few times where Mystic Nemo did get can opened. He also did get brain damage after all. Got a little Dane damage. Whoops. Boy, that was an epic fight. Holy shit. And then that Noble Caravan ambush. Oh my god. There were a handful of super epic fights this run. There were a lot of them. By a handful, I mean there were a lot. There were a lot. Anyway, you get a little Dane damage. And would I change anything about this brother's build? Nah. All right, moving on. Master Maticus. He was a part of a dynamic duo with Dr. Vishnevsky. This was another fun build. We got to use one of the new Hardened perks, Brace for Impact. Whenever you move to a tile, gain 1 stack per adjacent enemy and take less hit point damage. So, 1 with the shield, with a heater shield, 9 lives, Brace for Impact, Nimble. Lots of layers of protecting our hit points so that they can simply be regenerated by the Helmet of the Idrak. This was another fun build. Basically a hearkening back to some of the ideas that I wanted to put in place from the very first stream, and we were able to do it. Would I change anything about this build? Nah. I don't think so. If you didn't have Determined, honorable mention for like Battle Fervor for this type of bro and this type of role. Get him like an artist marveling his own work. Well, I don't know. I think it's a good time for reflection, right? I think this kind of reflection is good. There were a few things that we would change on other bros. It'd be nice to have somehow fit in Sword Mastery to be able to riposte for cheaper. Turns where we could attack and riposte. Maybe better than Dodge. Dodge didn't add that much value, especially once he got surrounded. Student because book funny. Student on level 7. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Master Maticus. Number 15 in damage dealt. Alright, lowest damage dealt. Not surprising. Not surprising. That wasn't his job. Number 3 in damage received. Also not surprising. Also not surprising. Number 15 heaviest hit. Sounds right. Still didn't take any 5% hits though. Actually had pretty okay hit chance. 69, nice. And yeah, that's the only noteworthy stuff there. Well played, Master Maticus. Moving on, Dr. Vishnevsky. Dr. Vishnevsky was a bit of a... This was a hard bro to build. This was a very challenging bro to build because we had an extra perk from Rising Star, so we got to take like 11 real perks. But there just weren't that many great choices, actually. If I could change and redo, I don't know what I would change. Maybe like small target would have been a good idea. Just because I think it's generically pretty good. But I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done differently. Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty fun to be able to do the two-handed hammer with anticipation, then swap to the one-handed hammer to gain value from parry. It was a fun one to play around, to be able to sort of combine those two together. And of course, this bro did get traumatized. It happens. It happens. Sometimes you get a little traumatized. Orcs are spooky. I think it was orcs. Anyway, looking at his overall stats, anything stand out to me here? I'm surprised his dodge chance is as low as it is. Nah, maybe not. Maybe not. A lot of the time was with the two-handed hammer. God, look at that melee defense. My God. 50. That's insane. I mean, actually, so I guess the base stat is 46. It's getting the battle fervor. Yeah, I don't know. Well played, Dr. Vishnevsky. Well played, Dr. Vishnevsky. Up next, Fosty254. This was another one of our starting bros, and this was one of those builds that I was super excited to play with. Just Nam and MetaWrecker were doing some theory crafting, some talking in the Discord about some stuff that I was also sort of musing on. And I was convinced that, Just Nam wanted me to do a build like this in, I think, the previous run, right? Number 3. The one that did eventually fail. And maybe I should have, right? I think the two-handed hammer with the dynamic duo, especially like with combo, God, that's so much damage. It's just so much damage. Full force, you know? I think we're gonna see heaviest damage probably on Fosty254. We'll see. Would I change anything about this build? It would have been an interesting alternate timeline just to know what if Onslaught maybe could have invested more in fatigue and had both. I don't know. Pretty happy with how the battles played out though. So looking at his stats, only number 4 damage dealt. A little surprised by that, but not surprised to see number 1 heaviest hit. Had a full force attack, probably with 12 AP, probably a single target, and probably said no. Maybe to an Orc Warlord or Orc Warrior or something. 439 damage in 1 attack. Probably on shrooms. Probably on shrooms. You love to see it. You love to see it. Number 4 hit chance. He did have Formidable Approach. Formidable Approach plus your rotate, your brotate from your dynamic duo. Pretty insane. Pretty insane. And yeah. Well played, Fosty254. Could have been Nimble instead of Forge plus Superman. 1 more perk for something valuable, more stamina for the round swings. Yeah, potentially. Potentially. I feel like the team had a lot of medium and light armor though. So I wanted to have one brother who I could put the heavier armor on. If he wasn't a tactician, would we have taken Bulwark? He doesn't, no, because he doesn't need it. Right, I think his Resolve, the question about Resolve and Bulwark is like, since we weren't putting him on the front line, like Rufin's talking about here too, since we're playing him from the back line and rotating him in only, he doesn't need high Resolve. So even though Bulwark would provide a lot of statistical value, it wouldn't provide a lot of battlefield value. So I don't think so. I think I'm happy to not have Bulwark on him. He didn't really need it. Well played, Fosty254. Up next, Darlene Ho, 16. Darlene Ho, what a monster. With the Grim Harvest of Cleansing Fire. This was a absolutely pivotal moment for the campaign, getting this weapon. I almost made a huge mistake with this brother in the initial build. The very initial sketch for this brother was not going to be a DPS monster. Even if we didn't find this weapon, even if we were just operating with a normal sword lance the whole time, I'm glad the DPS monster was the way to go. We needed damage on the squad, and very happy to have went that route. And obviously this weapon changed the course of the run dramatically. This was monstrous. Darling Ho was a monster. Absolute monster. I expect this to be #1 damage dealt. Not only #1 damage dealt, but inspiring presence, making other people do more damage too, pretty insane. Just insane. And leverage, or excuse me, long reach, making our allies more likely to hit. This bro does it all. He helps his allies, he helps himself. What a Chad. What an absolute Chad. 101 melee skill, no talent stars. I think he rolled a lot of +3s. And I think he had a really high starting value since he started as a militia. And militia have better base stats. He protect, but he also attack. Hey, that's a classic meme. Exactly. So let's look at his numbers. #1 in damage dealt. Let's see, where is #2? Who was #2? It'll probably be Scottaboosh, right? Yeah, okay. Actually, let's see the gap. 127,000, 90,000. And Darling Ho's damage dealt, generally speaking, was more relevant. Scottaboosh did an awful lot of gunning down caravan hands. So what else here? #3 in hit chance. Not too surprising. Had really good melee skill. And #1 unlucky 95% misses with 83. That makes sense. He's going to target the most enemies. He's going to take the most 95% attacks in general. So he's not really #1 unlikely because he attacked the most. So I think that the way that stat is phrased is misleading. He may have been, right? Who knows, right? But that stat is not giving an accurate portrayal of what it says it does. Imagine if you didn't miss that many, the damage numbers would be that much higher. Oh yeah, I mean, if you just hit the enemy, your damage go up. Had exactly 25% headshot chance. Sounds about right. And would I change anything about this build? No. And I'm so glad I reworked it. So glad to rework it. 909 kills. 909 kills. 909 kills. Incredible. Incredible. Well played, Darling Ho 16. Up next, curse word, aura farming. Keyword, aura bot. Curse word was a brother who I was kind of thinking I would originally have use a gun, and that was, from a planning perspective, misled. I won't call it a mistake because we ended up using the crossbow just fine, but misled. I think misled is accurate because by the time we used hold steady and onslaught, the fight had already had enough time to happen such that there was no, there were no big clumps of targets to hit with the handgun. Not at that point, not in the center of the formation. If anything, in the big fights, they would have already started wrapping around. So it would have been interesting to have gone for a bow build and just, I mean, I guess, do these have a vision penalty? They do. The reason I didn't is because I didn't like the prospect of doing flexible with a bow and a no vision penalty helmet. Right, because the best is one of these Salets, which maybe is still fine. But makes him a little bit sensitive to consecutive headshots. I guess I'm happy with what I chose. So Yeah, bow without nimble is awkward. Exactly. Bow without nimble is awkward. So it's unfortunate that we didn't get any use out of the Bloodletter's Reach, because it's a pretty nice quiver. And, you know, warbows obviously can pump out some real damage. But you know what? The crossbow ended up doing just fine. Is this the timeline where Slurgy finished the challenge before Slay the Spire 2 released? No, apparently not, because it's out in the wild right now. But yeah, also did add some Exude Confidence, which I'm actually, based on where I put him in the formation, I'm actually really happy with. I'm really happy with that. The Exude Confidence was really good, so that we could reliably have Darlene Ho be confident, so that he could be just a damage monster. Ended up pumping up his resolve a little bit so that we could do at least some amount of team resolve buffing with the banner mostly. So looking at stats, number 14 in damage dealt, not surprising. Not surprising. He was aura farming. And what else? What are some other noteworthy stats here? Number 14 damage received, not surprising. We just kind of kept him in the back. And yeah, otherwise his stats look about what I'd expect. So glad we didn't take Blitzkrieg. We always acted first anyways. And yeah, we had a lot of, I think Blitzkrieg is really good if your team does not have much initiative / flexible bros. There is a world where Blitzkrieg is good based on your company. And this company isn't it. So, happy to have built him the way I did. Happy to have built him the way I did. Up next, Miles. Oh, baby. Oh, man. Zerk Chain. Zerk Chain. That was the new addition, the new tech, the new idea, the new thing for attempt number 4 that we didn't do in the previous, and it worked fantastically. Miles may be insecure, but he's got Battle Fervor, so it's all right. So it's all right. Would I change anything about this build? Nah. Very happy that Small Target was available. I wish Headhunter would have been here, but the Formidable Approach, plus this amount of melee skill, plus the fact that we're attacking with a flail, so many 95% chance attacks. Insane. It almost makes me think that it would have been interesting to do something instead of Battle Fervor, because he didn't really need the these stats that much. What would I have done? I don't know. Maybe Berserk, so we could attack twice, but then I would use a regular flail instead of the Zerk Chain, which is fine, right? But it's an interesting prospect. It's an interesting prospect. Wears it well, obviously would have saved a lot of fatigue and stuff. I don't know. So, Death Dealer for the round swing, obviously. Yeah, right? Right? All right, so Miles, let's see. How did he end up damage stats-wise? Number 5 damage dealt. I suppose, yeah, that's about right. Number 2 in damage received. He's a nimble boy, right? So he's a priority target. Maybe a little surprised, but I guess I don't know who I would have thought it would have been. Number 3 heaviest hit, just after the Hammer Bros. Makes sense. Number 1 in headshot chance. Hell yeah. All that heavy lifting done by Small Target. Right, so he had a higher headshot chance than Slice the Elder. Just by a little bit. So Small Target adding more headshot chance than Headhunter. I suppose that probably comes out to about right. 40% chance with Headhunter versus 50% chance without. That probably maths out about right. It sounds about right. Small Target is absolutely bonkers on these two-handed flails. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's actually just a good perk in general. Even if you don't have a flail. Not getting hit in the head, pretty good. Hitting enemies in the head, pretty good. Even with a different weapon. Even with a different weapon. Could combo have been interesting with quick hands and the flail spinner? Could combo have been interesting? No, I don't think so, because so we're either reactivating Whirling Death for 3, which we can still always do on the same turn as an attack. But let's say we're hypothetically swapping weapons and we lose Whirling Death. I guess, yeah, we can activate it for 4. Like, so after swapping, we can activate it for 4. And then attack for 4. It's more fatigue cost. It's an interesting idea, but I don't think he would have the fatigue to be able to do it. So he'd have to rotate. He'd have to rotate to be able to do it. And we maybe don't always want to rotate. It kind of depends on the situation. You know, it's not something I highlighted all the time, but you know, because it would have been, I guess, at some point annoying. So I pointed it out every once in a while, but like you saw me like checking the initiative order and checking turn order and stuff. A lot of that was like, do I rotate now or do I rotate later? To like try to keep my phalanxes together, to try to like do all these things. There were lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of little micro decisions for ending turn versus wait versus rotating that, again, I'm not going to point out every time, but on Miles especially, we were doing it like constantly. Swapping weapons removes Whirling Death. Yeah, it does. It does. Right? So I didn't know if that's how that would work when I took it. And I was going to do it regardless of if it got rid of it. But yeah, you lose Whirling Death. So when we would swap from the Berserk Chain to the Pole Flail, we would lose Whirling Death. Fine. The other interesting option would have been, you know, what if we had gotten the Censor and taken Death Dealer? I think in that case, I don't take Flail Spinner. I just don't think that's a good idea. It's too hard to set up not hitting your allies. So we would have gone like Death Dealer instead of Flail Spinner. Otherwise the build probably basically the same. I'm happy with how he is though. You're building your Censor with both? Man. He's gonna have to be on the left side of your formation. It has to be. Censor doesn't have Death Dealer? That's a shame. Anyway. Well done, Miles. Well played. Up next, not second to last, but certainly not least, Scottaboosh. Oh man, was Scottaboosh an offensive monster. Monster. Absolute monster. And let's show the build as it is. Right, this is how I don't want to show those extra perks from Weapon Master. But yeah, Scottaboosh. Weapon Master ended up being super good here. Holy buckets. These are like honestly, these are the perfect famed items to find, which is super lucky. It corresponded to both of these two masteries. And at first I think I was kind of disappointed by this poleaxe, because I didn't really fully think about the fact that we would have the Bearded Blade disarm available on Scottaboosh. Ended up being very relevant. We use that a lot. Very good. Now I knew this would be insane when we got it though. I was pretty happy with this, right? Like, this is pretty good. You know, being able to do, I think I did have that planned though, right? I was thinking Mace Mastery and Shockwave, right? That was part of the plan, in addition to the Throwing Mastery getting its benefits. So yeah, Superstitious Fragile, classic Super Bro. I mean, you know, Peasant Militia, you gotta work with what you get. You gotta work with what you get. Dynamic Duo, yes. Despozzini is 100% correct. 100% agreed. Dynamic Duo really unlocked this bro. Dynamic Duo and combo, right? combo working with dynamic duos swap is insane. We could swap forward and attack with the crossbow, reload the crossbow, attack with the crossbow, swap weapons to a 4 AP throwing attack, and still use it in the first round of combat. Oh my god. We could also dynamic duo swap, and then with the infamous Skull Warper, do a cudgel and a strike down. Maybe a bit too crazy, maybe a bit too crazy. Maybe a bit too crazy. I mean, completely insane. Also, the fact that he was paired with a really high initiative bro was great. And I don't know that I planned that. Actually, I definitely didn't plan it because the Chaucer came later, right? We weren't even planning on necessarily doing dynamic duo. That was unlocked by the bro we found along the way. I mean, the game is about taking the opportunities that are presented to you and seizing them when they are presented, but the fact that that got presented to us as an option completely changed the course of the run. Completely changed the course of the run. Yeah, just crazy. Just crazy. I mean, it's funny because I think one of the reasons I was like trying to get up to 70 melee skill was just for hybridization. And it turns out, boy, did he do some melee monstrous attacks and damage. Incredible. Incredible. What a monster. Would I change anything about this build? No. Nope. Nope, it's perfect. Perfect. Actually, the only thing that's like a maybe is like somehow Bullseye isn't that big of a deal with crossbows. Because they already come with such good armor penetration. Like you want to increase their base damage. I don't know what I would take instead of it though. Probably still just stick with Bullseye. But we could have grabbed the like final perk of the set, right? So we could have got higher hit chance on the crossbow attacks, the ability to move and attack with the throwing weapons, causing injuries with the mace, and the axe could have done more armor damage against enemies with full hit points. All of those are kind of minimal. So, could also make a case for marksmanship. Yeah, I don't know. Bullseye's still good, even with the crossbow. So Scottaboosh's stats, number 2 damage dealt, no surprise. No surprise there. And let's see, what else? Any other really noteworthy things? Got pretty lucky with headshots then, 26%. A little bit above the 25. Otherwise, no notes, pretty good. I really do think axes should be reworked to hack away the enemies and leave the big hits to the hammers. Yeah, I think axes, like they're okay, but they need a little bit. The other weapons feel like they have a little more personality. And I don't know. So, anyway, well played, Scottaboosh. And last, but certainly not least, our missing nosed Antiwian, who we picked up on day, who's been with the company for 129 days. So that's pretty close to just before we got Mystic Nemo. It's pretty close. So this was a laborers, the runaway laborers or whatever the event is called. And Antiwian was, I don't know. Would I do anything different on this brother? Like maybe? I actually think there were so many times where I was so hesitant to engage with Antiwian. I wonder if maybe Fresh and Furious would have been the play. Or even I could have potentially considered hammer and shield and just done the one-handed hammer to make him a little more durable. Even without the shield mastery perks, right? Even without the one-handed duelist type perks. I don't know. You have a bro with Fresh and Furious and you're always very happy with it, just for the additional power in round 1. I think especially on a hammer bro, it's just one super massive hit. Yeah, I think this bro, I was unable to do anything with Antiwian for too much time in too many fights. And then I'd like be like, oh, all right, let's swap to the pole hammer. I don't know. I ended up not using him very efficiently. But I wasn't able to. I do think I would do this bro differently. This one I would change. I think I would do one-handed hammer. And just do hammer and shield. And just do like a heater shield. I think that would be better. So I would have taken away Formidable Approach. Because he just wasn't able to approach formidably. That's the problem. Right, so get rid of Formidable Approach. Still keep Fresh and Furious. I think that's totally fine. And just do a one-handed hammer. You can keep Unstoppable. I think that would have been better. Yeah, but I think even without those perks, I think just the fact that I wasn't able to... I mean, you're going through what I was thinking too, Rufin, but in practice, now that I've played with him, I would have... If I could turn back time, I would actually make Antiwian one-handed hammer. And I think he would have performed better. I'm pretty confident in that. So I would take away Formidable Approach. And just replace it with... Fresh and Furious. Or even something else. Right? I don't know what. But yeah, I'm not sure. But regardless, still ended up with some big hits when it counted. You'd also need to replace Rush of Battle? Absolutely not. We need to be able to rotate. If we're engaged in melee and we need to get out. So, yeah. No, we'd keep Rush of Battle, even though, yeah, it wouldn't be relevant for the full force hammers. No, he's not part of a duo. Didn't have it. So, 74 melee attack at level 11 for a one-handed hammer. I think Formidable Approach is great here. You would think so. I mean, I think, and conceptually, I agree with you guys, but, you know, look back to how I played the fights when Antiwian, even when he was fully leveled, and how much I had to be like, we're just going to sit here and do nothing. It was a lot. I had to play him super passively. I think if he had a shield, I'd have just been like, all right, get up there. Get up there and fight, buddy. And that would have been much better. And if he misses, he misses. But then I can at least engage the enemy. So. Anyway, with the company for only 129 days. Don't know why I just misread that number. Number 10 in damage dealt. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. He just wasn't, I wasn't able to put him in position to do, like, for a hammer bro to be that low is a problem. And was still high average damage per battle received. You know? Number 2 heaviest hit, not surprising. He is a hammer bro. And, had very few unlucky 95% chance misses, but it's because I had to be so hesitant with attacking enemies with them. And that's that. The team has done it. They have achieved their victory. They've deserved their retirement. Go down the list. Strongest foe defeated. Oh yeah. Let's see if there's any noteworthy ones. Orc Warlord, Orc Warrior, Rockageist. Hell yeah, Meta Wrecker. Orc Warrior, Ilska Sapat for Plague Bird. Orc Warlord, Orc Warlord. Necro Savant Lord from Master Maticus. Hey, I remember that one. Orc Warlord, Orc Warlord, Orc Warlord, Orc Warrior, Orc Warlord, Orc Warlord, Orc Warlord. We killed so many orcs! We killed so many orcs! This company just spent most of their time farming orcs. We got a lot of named shields from those orcs. So, weird that the warlords aren't named when the bandits are. I think that was changed. I think the bandits aren't anymore either. Purple in my brain. I think Hardened changed that. It's a point of confusion, I think, for newer players. They see a name, they think champion, and I think that was just changed. Yeah, I think it was changed. I think that was changed. So, it's true, Despotzini. Anyone missing a duo just essentially made them squishier and more passive. Duo essentially gives their front line 2 health bars. Exactly. Exactly. Which is why I think on the ones who didn't have the duo. That's why I like an on Tiwi and I should have just gone with the shield. So, that's where I'm going to call it for the day. I'm not going to play any Slay the Spire 2. I'm already kind of losing my voice. And, you know, we've seen 2 timelines. One where the team was cowards and they failed. One where the team was brave and they did it deathless. What a journey. What an adventure. So what's next? What's next? So my plan in the short term is I'm going to play more Slay the Spire 2. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been playing a little bit off stream. And I'm going to play that on stream. Because I'm going to play it anyway. And I need a little bit of a Battle Brothers break. I love this game. Absolutely love this game. But I need a little time apart for that love to grow. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I want to, you know, take a step away from that. So in the short term, my plan, but I'm open to other ideas. I'm just going to be playing some Slay the Spire 2. So it'll be a little more chill, just hanging out, learning a new game, having fun. So that's where I'm going to be back at it with tomorrow. And then probably for most of the days this upcoming week. So that's going to be the plan. So I'm not going to retire the team. We'll hit save and quit so that they can join, you know, the list of all the squads that, you know, we just leave alive. We just leave alive. We let them hang. We let them chill. And so, once a month variety day. Oh, it could be more than once a month. Who knows? I'm not going to commit to any specific plans at this exact moment. Or every few weeks. I don't know. But I'd be interested in, you know, if people have ideas for games they think I would like, you know, feel free to pitch them on the Discord, right? Obviously, Zeldist here pitched Mugenics. That's a fun cat breeding game. I've been playing that some off stream as well. Having a good time. High Fleet, yeah. Feel free to pitch them in the Discord. Oh, I suppose I should link to the Discord. Boom. There it is. For those who are interested. But there we have it. What a journey. The fact that there is diverging timelines kind of makes this all the more sweet. And very fun. Oh, and before I close, I don't say this enough because generally he sits in the sidelines. Darkso, thank you for making this. All of the people who made Hardened as well, Lord Midas, etc., who made the mod from which Hardened comes from, being a sub-mod. Thank you for giving me a new way to play my favorite game. I think at this point, Hardened is hardening to the point where it is very highly recommended that you give it a shot. It's fun. And building bros is better in this than vanilla, or more interesting. More interesting. There's a lot more that goes into the decision. I don't think everything's perfect, but it's just a different experience and different in a good way. So, well played, Darkso, the RL Chad, and that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm out. this was indeed the run, at least in one timeline. Ta-ta.